What's up, Hoops fans? The Snowman here, and today I've got a basketball instructional video talking about all things NBA. We're going to go over the format, the teams, the schedule. That includes preseason, regular season, all-star break, play-in tournament, of course, the NBA playoffs. If you have any questions, please leave a comment, but let's get you set up for the new NBA season. We'll start off with some basic info about the teams. There are 30 active NBA franchises. That's the way it's been since 2004. 30 teams all across the United States and one in Canada. We split those 30 teams up into two separate conferences, the East and the West. Those conferences loosely based off geography, so it's predominantly East Coast teams in the East, West Coast teams in the West. Within both conferences, we also split the teams up into three divisions of 5 teams each. So in the Eastern Conference, we have the Atlantic Division, the Central, and the Southeast. And in the Western Conference, our three divisions are the Southwest, Northwest, and the Pacific. That's how the 30 franchises are organized. We'll come back to that when we talk about standings and playoff seeding. In terms of the big picture schedule, the NBA season typically lasts from October to the following June. Yes, we have the draft and free agency over the summer. That's the off season, but early October is typically when you have training camp and preseason where teams come together and prepare for the upcoming year. The regular season usually tips off in late October, and that goes all the way to mid-April, so about 6 months of regular season basketball with a week-long hiatus in February for the All-Star break. Then in April, we have the relatively new play-in tournament, and then the best teams advance into the playoffs, which last about 2 months long. The NBA Finals typically conclude in mid-June when the two best teams duke it out. We have just one team left standing as our NBA champs. Let's talk about some specifics regarding the regular season format now. At the moment, each team plays an 82-game schedule in the regular season. There have been talks about reducing that number, but for now it remains 82, and we arrive at those 82 games because every team plays the other 4 teams in their division 4 times each for a total of 16 games. They also play the other 10 teams in their conference 3 or 4 times each for a total of 36 games. And then they also play the 15 teams in the opposite conference twice, once at home, once on the road, for a total of 30 games. So 16 division games plus 36 other conference games plus 30 non-conference games. That equals 82. And here's an example of the standings from the 2021 season. Note that teams played less than the usual 82 because of a COVID-shortened season, but this is important because only 16 teams qualify for the playoffs each season, 8 from the Eastern Conference and 8 from the West. How this works is that the top 6 teams in each conference get in automatically. So, for example, in the East, Philadelphia, Brooklyn, Milwaukee, the New York Knicks, Atlanta, and Miami all got into the playoffs thanks to their superior win-loss records. The teams in spots 7 through 10 are the 4 teams that compete in the play-in tournament, which we'll explain in just a sec. And then the teams located from 11 to 15 are eliminated from postseason contention. So looking at the West teams, New Orleans, Sacramento, Minnesota, OKC, and Houston all failed to qualify. The only saving grace for those teams is that the worse your record is, usually you get a better draft pick the following season. That's why you'll hear the phrase tank, or fans cheering for their own teams to lose late in the season to accumulate better draft capital. In terms of the play-in tournament, it's a pretty straightforward setup. There's 6 games total, 3 for each conference. In both the East and West, you have the 7 seed and the 8 seed play. Whoever wins that game moves on to the playoffs. They'll play the 2 seed in the first round. We also have the 9 and 10 seed play. Whoever loses that game is eliminated. The winner moves on to play the loser of the 7-8 matchup, and then whoever wins that final grudge match is the 8 seed. They move on to face the number 1 seed in the conference. As far as the playoffs are concerned, this is the most fun time of the year in my opinion. We have our 16 teams, and they've got to win 4 rounds to be crowned champion. That's how long the playoffs last. Each round takes about 2 weeks, so it's a 2-month process in total. Unlike the NFL or March Madness, the NBA playoffs are not single elimination. Instead, all rounds are best of 7 series. In other words, the first team to win 4 separate games advances to the next round. So some series take all 7 games. Other series are shorter. They can be 4, 5, or 6 games. But whichever team has the better seed, they have the home court advantage, so they'll get to play at home for 4 of the 7 games. Only have to go on the road for 3. We repeat this process for 4 rounds, though. First round, where all 16 teams compete. Then the second round are conference semifinals. The third round is the conference finals. That's the 2 best teams in each conference. And finally, we whittle our way down to the last 2 teams. They clash in the NBA Finals to determine the kings of the league. Also, just one other note about the NBA. There's not really a large minor league system like with Major League Baseball. There's no system of promotion and relegation like you see in most association football leagues across the globe. However, they do have one developmental basketball league below them called the NBA G League. It's still relatively small at this point. The G League was only founded back in 2001, but there are minor league affiliates for most of the NBA franchises within the G League, so that's one path that basketball players may take. They can start out in the G League, play well enough to get promoted to an NBA roster. However, most of the time, most players in the NBA come from the college ranks. They play in the NCAA, then they get drafted and or signed from an NBA team straight out of college. All right, and as always, thank you so much for watching. Please leave a comment if you have any questions. If you want more basketball content, subscribe to the Snowman Sports Media. Follow me on Instagram, on Twitter, @Snowman Sports Media, and I'll be back real soon. Cheers.